All right. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. And a big thanks to our next guest here on Sam's Army. We got a true member, a long-standing member of the Goal Scorers Union, Kei Kamara of Chicago Fire. Thank you, Kei, for jumping on. How you doing today?
Actually, when you started doing that, I was like, maybe I should have stayed off camera and then on camera.
No, you're good. You're
This
good.
would be better. I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you very much. We just finished training, so Friday, and get ready for a game. But I'm doing good.
Nice. Well, congrats. You're coming off of a big win and your first goal for the Chicago Fire last weekend in Miami. So congrats on that. Where does that rank, that goal, among your what is it, 140 something goals in
Ranked
MLS?
number one in Chicago.
Yeah,
Ranked,
great
it
answer.
ranked number one, even though it was in town. But for the Fire, my first goal. So and the first win for us in the season. Um, Hard fought game from the group, away game. It wasn't easy, but definitely they rank top right now.
A win is a win and a goal is a goal. So yeah,
That's
we'll
right.
take that. Listen, you've had a hell of a career, which we'll get into in just a minute. But let's start, with the Fire. So I am a long suffering Fire fan myself, here, living in Chicago, and so I'm one of many who are itching for the team to sort of rejoin the elite of the league. How close are they at the moment? How close are you, I should
I
say?
am very new. I'm very new. I'm very new. So I'm learning a lot, but I do know the rich history of this club. I have had a lot of friends that have played for this club and I've followed them over the years. Man, there's too many names from the headband twist, Kalen Carr, to the Dominic Oduro, Section 8, probably favorite player. Bakir Samari, just Mike McGee. I mean, everyone. I can name so many players, but I've always known those history. I think for me, that was part of it too, because you're playing against some of these guys and they're your friends. So every time we played these games against Chicago, I was always excited to play against Chicago. But yeah, even in the locker room right now, with the history of, again, CJ Brown being part of the club during, the glories of, getting something for this city, for this club. That's amazing. But I can see the direction from my conversation after I've been here for about 3-4 weeks now, the direction and, where the club wants to go. And you can see it from the the younger players, coming into the club and trying to see what the vision is.
Yeah. As you said, you're coming off of a big win. Hopefully, that's going to be sort of moving in the right direction. What has to go right for this team to make the playoffs this year and make a playoff run?
Win more games, win more games than any
Facts.
other people. When you win more, you get in there. But for us to win those games again, we got to be better. We got to be better in a lot of things, and we showed it already that we're clicking a lot of things to put a lot of things together. It's going to happen early in the season where you're going to struggle a bit, coming off a preseason, a long off season, and trying to, gel a lot of things. But the positive thing that I see here is there's a core group of guys that have been here already. They know the coaching style, the system of play, and everything that they want to do. And we're just, little pieces of the puzzle to try to help that, to help complete that puzzle. And hopefully, again, the final puzzle will be playoffs. So I've been in the league for too long, so I try not to talk about playoffs when it's just 3-4 games into the season. But again, if that's the vision for everybody here, then it's something we all have to buy into.
Okay. You mentioned coaching. You're in a unique position as a former teammate. You played with Ezra Hendrickson, and you're now playing for Ezra Hendrickson at the Fire. So, how is your relationship different at this point? How has he changed from the Ezra that you remember with the Chicago or Columbus Crew back in the day?
He's a coach now. He walks around like a coach. He doesn't walk around like a player anymore. So that's the big difference. No, it's amazing. It's amazing to really see that there is space for us when we're done playing in our careers and to what you want to do and become. Some people are in the front office and some people are in broadcasting. And for Ezra, I've followed him over the years, working under one of, American's great coaches, Jiggy Schmidt, for so many years. May his soul rest in peace. And for Ezra now to become, in his, throne and lead a team, I think it's good. I've always said one day I would love to play for him. And so I'm super excited and happy to be here and to listen and to just to learn too, to see how, in all the years that he played and what, he's bringing into the locker room. And I can see that, making players feel very comfortable, but also demanding a lot from us. But that doesn't change. I'm a competitor when I'm out there, and I'm gonna push the buttons to make sure that I want to win, and I know that's the vision for him too.
Any stories of him as a player that maybe sort of people don't know?
Yeah,
That probably
he always thought he was a better striker than a defender, but not knowing those, his long legs that he had, it was better for him being, a defender. So he did score a few goals, and obviously have the iconic Bob Marley shirt every time he scores a goal and does that celebration. But he did leave a big mark on my career. Obviously, playing with him, he did show me the ropes into how, longevity in the league. And I think I learned a lot that he doesn't know, but I took a lot of lessons from the time I was with him.
I said it's all coming full circle. Now you're playing, for him. Listen, you've had a hell of a career. You were drafted in 2006, I believe.
I know,
By
look, you're like looking away. That's how far 2006. You're
I was
like,
like, yeah, exactly. Listen, you're not talking to a spring chicken here either, by the way. Okay, so I've been around. I've been around as well. You just been, I've been playing all these years just at a little bit lower level. You've been doing it at the top, which is incredible. It really is. So you were drafted 2006. You had a sort of a long stint with Sporting KC, almost like 40 goals with them in however many years. Have you ever stopped to think about all the things you've accomplished in MLS at this point, or is that something that no time for that quite yet?
no time for it. No time for it, because there's that one big thing that you want to accomplish that still hasn't happened. So until you think about lifting the MLS, Cup trophy, then you've really done something. So, I think that's the biggest accolade of all that, I've always chased, I've always wanted, and it doesn't stop because, you can do this for all the years that you're saying, but again, at the end of everything, everybody's going to ask, did you win the championship?
Right.
So that's still the chase, the hunger, the desire. So yes.
That's what it's all about still. Okay, listen, Fire fans are 100% behind you on that quest. Hopefully we bring it this year. So a couple quickies about your career here. Favorite goal? Most
I
memorable.
told this it. If it's
Okay.
not the goal this weekend, for my first Fire goal, then it definitely have to be my first ever professional goal, and I scored in 2006 in my first professional game that I played. So yes.
Okay. All right. Biggest rival or fiercest rival you've had over the years?
Oh my God. Individually, I wouldn't say, because there's a bunch of, again, friends that I play against. But when it comes to teams, it's weird. I'm saying, I actually told, who did I tell this? I was telling one of our staffs this the other day. I was like, do you know when I played for Columbus, every time we played Chicago, like one of the biggest things ever? I was like, those rivalry days were good. Things that we used to say on that side of the locker room, like played against Chicago. So yeah, there was that competition and that Columbus Chicago one going on. So I'll have to say that, because that was actually one that meant something.
Yeah, I like that. We got to get back. You got to get Chicago back to those days. Those were the days when that rivalry really meant something. Those were the days. Most painful defeat?
Oh man, it's a tough one, because in this sport, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. My son actually told me that. Yeah,
Smart.
I'll choose that game then, because African Cup of Nations, last game we played against Equatorial Guinea, I had scored a goal to go in to take the country after 26 years to African Cup of Nations. I scored a penalty, and I missed the penalty in the last game. And I remember going to the side after the game and then hugging him, and my son Kendrick, who's 5, said to me, that. It's like, it's okay, Daddy. You're gonna lose some games and you're gonna win some games. And that was a painful defeat there. But he said that to me, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some.
I mean, that's great. Obviously the worst defeat of your life, followed by, your kid sort of picking you up like that.
A 5-year-old. Yeah, seriously.
That's incredible. On the flip side, most memorable win.
That one again, I'm sorry. So that's internationally. So yes, because Sierra Leone hadn't qualified for the African Cup of Nations in 26 years. And again, it was difficult to play games during the COVID season. And I remember taking a penalty for us to go into the cup, and there was no fans in the background, but I can feel millions of people in my head knowing that this is going to change a lot for my country, and scoring that goal. And for us, having that win for the national team, it was pretty amazing.
Nice. The next question I was going to ask you, we're going to get into your Sierra Leone career, and I was going to ask you about that goal that qualified, for the AFCON. So you basically just took the words right out of my mouth. But so this is 2021, just so people who don't know. 2021, you're playing Benin, I think.
Yes.
And so walk us through sort of the importance of that game and the reaction afterwards, especially in a COVID world at the time.
Yeah, it was really tough. It was a game that was actually scheduled to be played in March in Sierra Leone, and we were there, and there was all these, oh my God, I don't even know how to explain, the African football and system of, a lot of things that happened during the COVID. So our game got taken away from Sierra Leone. We had to move it to a neighboring country of Guinea and play then in June against Benin. And there was the one game between us, winner goes. And I remember playing in Guinea against Benin. It was a tough game. It was definitely a tough game, but we had this one penalty. And again, when you're a striker or you're a name and you're thinking, this is it, this is what can change history. And, I became that guy. Yes, sure, I made it, but it took us to the cup. But then again, like I said, on the flip side, and this is the lessons for the, younger people, we can be going like this, you're going to hit something someday, but it's how well are you able to control it. So I remember missing the penalties, and my house got attacked in Sierra Leone. I got threatened to not return back to Sierra Leone and all this. And I took the next flight, the next day back to Sierra Leone with my family, my wife and my kids, because I say I have to face it. You have to face the rumble, and instead of me running away. So I faced it, but there's going to be a lot of things that comes along the way. We just have to think through the positive and just be ready for it.
Yeah. Now, was there any celebration after this, historic win that sent you to
Yeah.
AFCON, or was it just like impossible because of?
Oh my God. It was, obviously I do have some, I think, videos and pictures on my Instagram from back then. I remember, I mean, what could have taken us maybe 45 minutes took us like 6 hours to drive through the city to get to the national stadium, where we met with the president. He was waiting for us at the national stadium to welcome us. It was amazing. It's the best thing ever, just to see what soccer, if we call it football, what Sierra Leoneans call it. Yeah, what it does. There you go. Soccer and football does to people, to bring people together. It was nothing about politics, nothing about religions, nothing about tribes. It was everybody together. And I just teared. I just look at that and I said that one goal just brought these, people together. Imagine, other places in the world what sports does.
Yeah, that's what soccer can do. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So on that same sort of topic of Sierra Leone, and that's your homeland. So how has playing and living in the US for quite a while at this point, and then traveling back to Sierra Leone to play national team, and perhaps just travel back there, period, how has that changed your relationship with the country?
No, that's a good question. It's been a blessing. It's really been a blessing growing up in Sierra Leone. I grew up during the Civil War and moved to the U.S. as a refugee. And then, in 2006, I became a citizen, and which is amazing. Then I was able to then go to Sierra Leone. That's why I committed to play for Sierra Leone instead of representing the U.S., because in 2006 and 7 and 8, I was just enjoying my time and spending my time in Sierra Leone. And I remember being approached to, play for the US in 2008. And I was like, I think I'm going to choose Sierra Leone because I wanted to be closer to the family that I had there. And it was a blessing because I can go back to Sierra Leone and I can see how much people don't have and how happy they are. And then when I come here, then I know to not take things for granted. So that was the balance of me, or that has been the balance of how it's helped me throughout my career. And, again, that's why I decided to, the things that I've learned here, for example, where we are playing sports and we're using our platforms to be in communities and helping in communities. So I created my own, Heart Shaped Hands Foundation and made it, my chore, not really, but I love it. It's not a chore to be going back to Sierra Leone and continue to help use sports, to influence education for the kids.
Yeah. So tell us a little just quickly about the heart-shaped hand. I know you do it for almost every goal celebration, not the most recent one, but what's sort of the reason to try? That's a
Yeah,
terrible
no,
French
yeah.
pronunciation, by the way.
Obviously, yeah, the celebration will, it's still pending to explain the full reason why the first one started. But, now where since 2012, I've, registered 501c3, which is, Kei Kamara Heart Shaped Hands Foundation, which explains it well. I'm using, my heart and my hands to give back to my country, Sierra Leone, my country of birth. And where our focus is to, again, I went to school in America and I played sports and I got my education through sports. And the NCAA slogan is not every one of us, most of us are going to go professional in something other than sports. So I'm trying to show most of the kids back there that, yes, let's use sports, but it's not the only way. We're using sports to get our education because most of us are not going to go professional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you retired technically or officially from Sierra Leone. Not for the first time though. Is this one for real? Like, are you sure? Is there like a little
It's for
chance you might
real.
come back?
I love spending time which doesn't happen. We don't have off times, but if MLS did have a international break, I love spending that time with my, my family, my wife and my kids here instead of the long travel. Man, I remember traveling once to South Africa to Johannesburg, 4-hour drive to Nelspruit, play a game. The next day, got back on a flight to Seattle to play a game for Kansas. And I remember when they took me out, I was sitting on the bench. I was falling asleep.
I can imagine.
So no more of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I listen. That was a few years ago. I know how the travel gets more and more difficult. With more rings on the tree. So I know
Right.
what you're talking about.
Right.
Last question before rapid fire. I'm gonna hit you with some random questions. This one
Yep.
is, I heard it from a little birdie that you may have some thoughts about broadcasting at some juncture.
Where's the birdie?
It was somewhere over here, somewhere over there. I don't know who it was. Is that true? Can you confirm or deny that maybe someday down the line, broadcasting?
Broadcasting?
Yeah.
I love the space. I love the entertainment space. I've been part of this journey for a long time and I've loved, being around, people like yourself and doing these kind of things, the podcast, interviews on TVs. And, I've actually been engaged myself in 3 years of acting classes because I
Ooh.
really wanted to be an actor. Not that it's gone away, but just the space of that, and I enjoy it so much. So I do want to learn, and it's something that I look forward to doing. But at the same time, I'm doing my coaching license, which when you play for this long, it really feels like you'll be selfish to not give back. So, and that's part of it, and I've been enjoying that part too. So I'm open.
Okay. All right. Now time for random fire. And you mentioned the acting. So this question just came out of the blue. What actor would play you if you were gonna, have the movie about Kei Kamara in your life?
Oh my God. Two that pops to mind. And if it's a funny Kei Kamara, it's Will Ferrell. If it's the if it's the serious Kei Kamara, it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, okay. Wow. I like it. Leo is coming back.
Yes.
All right. Asked about heart shaped hands. Okay, so I've heard, and again, another Verdi through the grapevine. I've heard some of the little whippersnappers that you play with on the fire. They refer to you sometimes as Grandpa. Is that true? Do you hate it? Do you love it?
I think it's the newest name for like cool people. Like if you're cool, you're grandpa. So that's what
Respect.
they told me because there's a lot of younger guys in the locker room. So they called me that, but they said it's like the new slang for like cool people. So they call me.
I like it. Listen, I run around with whippersnappers every week as well. I know where you're coming from. It's a sign of respect. That's where it's
Good.
coming from. Okay, so thing you miss the most every time you leave Sierra Leone.
See, I want to say the food, but then family is gonna be really upset. But I'm gonna say my friends and my family
Yeah, just put
plus
it together.
the food. Yeah,
Family dinners. There you go.
family dinners. There you go.
So switch it. What do you miss the most when you leave the US?
Oh my God, the first world problems.
We got a lot of
Your
those.
internet working well, your car, being perfectly fine to drive, the signal on the road to tell you when to turn, all those first world
Your air
problems.
conditioning just being not being quite,
Exactly.
frosty cold. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know those first world problems. All right. Do you exchange Christmas cards with Federico Higuain?
Pipa. Do I? I have not, but I should. I love when people, talk about the history of me and Pipa. And it's great. Actually, when I was in Miami for preseason, we were able to chat because he's doing his coaching with the Miami 2 team. It's great to be back with him. And we actually met a few more times before after, our little thing that happened.
Spat.
No, man, I would love to exchange Christmas card with people. He's a good guy.
Okay, good. Water under the bridge.
Yeah.
I like that. 1 to 100. What's your excitement level for the League's Cup 2023 coming up this year?
90 plus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
because it's amazing. It's great. It's good exposure for, again, a lot of the younger players
Yeah.
to compete with not just us in the league, but to really have a platform that we can compete not just in the Champions League, but in something also that's bringing other teams together. It's good. It's good to play these games, and it helps again for the soccer fans to continue to grow the sport around, like so they're just not seeing MLS, but they're also having an opportunity to see teams from outside, because people always ask you, but do you only play here? Can you play overseas? So that's the overseas we can play.
All right. Well, you've already ticked that box, but yeah, I guess it makes sense
Yeah,
for the younger
that
guys.
too.
Okay, last question. What does success look like this season?
If I say better than last year, everybody's gonna say, well, yeah, that's obviously what you want to do. But for me personally, is to help the growth of the locker room, the younger guys, and so they can hit their highest. And if we all do hit our highest, then it's for sure crushing what happened last year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Diplomatic as always, Kei
No,
Kamara.
yeah.
Thank you, man. I really do appreciate you jumping on. Best of luck this season. And good luck with the acting classes.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. And it's called football.
Soccer. See you guys next week.